We love our dogs, even when they bring home a dead possum. I'm just kidding. It's not dead.
Yo, not only just one of my favorite thespians, HB, one of my favorite people I got to meet because of the business of entertainment. You know, this guy has been one of my great friends before he even knew we were friends. And so I love watching him because I think he's the adamant professional. You could put him in any situation. You could put him on Broadway. You could put him on the big screen, the small screen. You could put him in a hosting position. You could put him behind the counter at a deli, and he can make you a sandwich. The one and only Alfonso Ribeiro is here, ladies and gentlemen.
What's happening?
Alfonso!
What's up, y'all?
Man.
Hey,
bro.
We miss you. We miss you, man. I love watching you, man. You look good, brother. You looking
Thank
good,
you, man. You know,
man.
just trying to, it's funny. Everybody I know did the pandemic 10 pounds where everybody gained 10 pounds. I did the opposite. I lost 10 during the pandemic. It was no more eating out and eating only good food that my wife cooks. Made me lose 10 pounds. So I'm feeling good.
Damn.
Go ahead and show off.
Hey,
that.
man, does she do catering? Like, could she do pre-made meals and maybe send me something? Because I did the opposite.
Right now, with I got 4 kids, so just the fact that I get to eat is special.
That's right. That's hilarious, man. How the kids doing? How have you guys adjusted life around the house during this pandemic? Because I'm sure the kids are at home doing school.
Well,
right?
it's this just goes along with the way that I always do things. When the pandemic hit, obviously we spent a lot of time in the house and chilling, and the kids were home from school and all the rest. And then my wife came up with a brilliant idea to go buy an RV. And we bought a 40-foot RV and ended up driving around the country for most of the summer and being able to still travel and turn a horrible time in all of our lives into something positive for us to be able to go and be able to social distance while still having some social, right? Being able to go to RV parks and go to national parks and go see Mount Rushmore and go see our families and be able to do that while still maintaining, social distance and being careful and all the rest. So we were able to have a fantastic summer. And the kids had a blast. We had to kind of shut it down a little bit because when we got back, we needed to kind of do distance learning again for the kids. But you can still distance learn from the RV because all you need is Wi-Fi. So we've continued to go out. I've had to come back a few times to shoot AFV, but other than that, we've been on the road.
They've been on the road.
Wow,
that remind me of a conversation we had with JB Smooth, from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Of course,
and
yeah.
A stand-up comedian, JB. JB has a RV club. You should get up with them, and they do an annual event. I mean, they're probably not doing it right now, but it's a lot of folks out there with these luxury RVs. Hey, man, I don't want to get in your pockets. You definitely got to hit them up. And I'm not trying to get in your pockets, Alfonso. You've been working, since I told the truth, you've been getting money for it.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
I always love it when someone starts a sentence off with, I don't want to get in your pocket.
In your pocket.
Which means that you about to try to get in my pocket. Go ahead. Where we going?
But I'm just curious to how much a 40-foot RV, what's the price range? I know it depends on the kind of accessories you get and the amenities that come with it, but because some folks that sound like you could buy that as a substitute to a home.
Yes, I mean there are RVs that go from $2 million. They're the super duper luxury ones that are unbelievable. I did not get one of those. I got one a couple hundred, but the reality is that it's like a mortgage, right? People buy $1 million house, but they don't put $1 million down. I always say the bank really owns it. I make payments on it.
Good point. All right, Alfonso Ribeiro is here, and to this Sunday, matter of fact, on ABC, you guys are doing America's Funniest Videos, Christmas special, correct?
Yeah, we have, every year we try to do something inspired by the holidays that are going on, and this year we have our Christmas special, and we try to, show a lot of what's going on for Christmas and snow videos and all the rest that definitely, make people get ready for the holidays and think about, the good times and the fun stuff. So we're excited about our Christmas episode this Sunday, and it's kind of, I always say whenever I'm always talking about AFE, it's a lot more of the same. We just try to package it a little differently every time and give people a new way of seeing the same stuff. Look, at the end of the day, when somebody gets hit in the nuts, it's funny. I don't care if it's Christmas, Halloween, Easter. It's this. Hitting the eggs. It's still gonna break.
Damn. What about if it's your own nuts, Alfonso? It's still funny?
It's funny for everybody else. Listen, somebody got to be the brunt of the joke, but
right.
So it's all. Listen, as long as you don't end up in the hospital, we showing it, so it's all good.
Damn, ruthless on AFP.
Oh my goodness. Alfonso, can we please speak about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special, because that was incredible. The way that we were all able to laugh and cry and reminisce with you guys, but then also learn some new things. And you had the opportunity, of course, to be in the original house with all of your original cast members, including both Aunt Vivs, which was just a historical moment. I hope that Generation Z understands exactly how big of a moment this was. Speak about that time. Just how are you feeling emotionally? Were you ready for it? Were there any nerves? Was there any tension or, awkwardness that you had to release? Just what was going on?
Well, for me it was quite simple. So, the actual taping took place over 3 days. I was only able to be there one of the days, which was the main part where we sat in the living room and, all came together. Will did his moment with Janet separately the day before, and then they did a lot of social media stuff, and that was the actual day that Janet came and into the living room with everyone else. I actually wasn't there that day, so for me it was kind of getting back and finding the happiness of seeing everyone and being with on that set, and then I've always said my happiest times on that show were with the people, not necessarily the work, right? The work was work. And as much as we all enjoy the work that we do, it still is just that work. It was a great time doing it, but it was still work, right? The end of the day for us, it was the relationships, like Tatiana, Karen, Will. These are like my brothers and sisters for real, right? We share a bond that will last forever, and all of us have that, right? And the special relationship that James Avery had for all of us, being the man who really kind of led the ship for many years until he was able to pass that torch along to Will, and Will becoming a true leader of all of us. And so there was wonderful moments. It was great to see everybody and be in the space again. I feel like they did a fantastic job of capturing the essence of our show, the beauty of what we did and how we changed the way things were done, especially for black shows in the industry. I'd worked on, obviously, Silver Spoons and many other shows that had all white writing staffs. And most of the time, a white writing staff never gets the black experience right? It's never right. It's always, a stereotypical take on it. and we had in the beginning a white writing staff, and the two African Americans that really had any say in the room really were more like Carlton. They were there to help the Carlton experience and the yuppie experience, and less of the hip hop experience that Will was going to bring in. So we needed to be able to say, you know what, a young black kid from Philly wouldn't do that, right? Or a lawyer in Bel Air who came from the movement wouldn't do that. And so James and myself and Will and everybody would sit there with the writers and say, this is what we would do. This is what we would say. And it really, I think, is a testament to why the show is still successful in syndication, is because the characters remained true to not only themselves, but the experience of the African American in this country. So in a very different way that had never really been seen on TV, as people who had made it,
Right.
And I think it was very special to kind of go back and show some of that and show how we made a difference. It was quite special, and the people who put it on, Will and his team at Westbrook, they did a fantastic job.
Agree.
Wow. Alfonso Ribeiro is with us. America's Funniest Videos airing Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central on ABC. HB, you want to holler at the homie?
Man, Alfonso, thank you. I think I just want to build a little bit because it's interesting that you said that, and I'm wondering how much do behind the scenes conversations that you guys have to have for each and every week to make sure you crank out the best work, right? Because as a watching audience, all we saw was just like the final product, right? We just wanted to laugh and see Carlton and Will and Ashley and Uncle Phil and all that kind of stuff. But I know so much had to go on behind the scenes because you just mentioned like silver spoons, and then you were in the house. But it is something about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that people still want to reboot, that people will watch a reunion show. Like, it's crazy. How much work did y'all talk about behind the scenes? Like, yo, this could be funnier. Maybe we should talk about this. Did you guys do a lot of that?
Really, where it went into, obviously the rehearsal process was the most fun for all of us. Where we took their writing and played with it, right? And there was many times where there were things that weren't in the script that we showed the writers work that we were doing on the floor. Some of it made it, some of it didn't, right, to the episode. But we always continued to present the best that we could every week. The process is basically you read the script on Monday, and then on Tuesday you do the blocking, and then you do a run-through for the producers Tuesday late afternoon, and then on Wednesday you do producers and network, a run-through for them. And so those were the days in which we really dug in and would say, nope, we're not saying that. Yep, we're saying this. And nope, this is not going to work. And yep, but we always, rather than being, and this is where I think people go wrong in the idea of presenting their own ideas, is that you can't tell somebody, that stuff you spent 3 weeks working on? Yeah, it sucks. We're not going to show you it, right? You have to show them their work doesn't work. You have to present it, and you can't do it in a way where you're like, it doesn't really work, so I'm not going to put the energy into it. You have to go 100%. Show them show them 100% of your intention to try and make it work. And then when it doesn't work, they can't say that, well, you tanked it, right? You didn't want to do it, so you didn't deliver it. You have to give it 100%, and then they go, they gave it 100%, it didn't work, let's change it. And those were the things that we knew as a cast. Look, I had the most experience in sitcom and going into the show. And so these were some of the things that I would say, like, hey, guys, you got to give it to them 100%. Show them that it doesn't work, and it will be gone. Don't do it 100%, and it's going to live another day. And so it becomes this process of digging down. And James Avery was so amazing at saying, look, a black guy from the 60s ain't doing this, Yes, I made it, but I didn't forget it. So that was some of the beauty early on, especially with Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. Like, you saw moments where it was like, oh yeah, they black. Oh yeah, they might live in Bel Air, but they real. And I think it's about that being real. It's about that being authentic. That even looking back, you don't feel like you're watching a cartoon.
Yeah.
Right? You feel like you're watching almost real life. And it's probably part of the reasons why, like, my career took a major hit, because people were like, no, these people are real. Like, these aren't like fake characters. These are real people. And they didn't realize that we were acting, right? Like, I always say, I grew up in the Bronx, right? So I was born in Harlem. That ain't me. But you play it so real and it feels so authentic that it's impossible for people to realize that it isn't true.
Yeah.
And that's the job you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's a testament to your talent. They think there's Carlton. And that ain't who you are. That was a character you played. Mm-hmm. That's a testament to your talent, Alfonso, which should be commended. And I love that you said, so you don't. A career ain't just the apex moments. It's the valleys, it's the peaks and the valleys. And you just said that's probably why my career took a hit. And people don't really talk about that part of it, but the hits are a part of the career too. When you take a hit, though, what is it that you do to make sure that you stay solid and you stay motivated? And you move forward?
I think the biggest key for me has always been the passion for what I do, right? Mm-hmm. And I love what I do. I love the fact that I still get to do some semblance of what I love, right? I've always said, and this is something that I think most of the geniuses around in all aspects of the world, failure is where you learn the most and where you grow the most. And for me, I've always wanted to understand why I might have failed in something and, like, take those learning lessons and grow from it. What people always do, and I've always said my favorite song for my life is Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror, right? Yeah. Because if you don't start with the man in the mirror when something goes wrong, you'll never grow. And too many people today, the first time something goes wrong, they point the finger elsewhere, right? I was listening to a Mad Dog Radio the other day, and they were talking about Paul Pierce and the problem that happened with the Clippers, right? And every article about that, the Clippers, was about Paul Pierce not taking responsibility for it when he doesn't show up. And then he does an interview and confirms the fact that he's still not going to take responsibility for it, right? You have to start with yourself. You have to be truthful with yourself and say, where did I go wrong? And if you can't find where you went wrong, then you can start looking elsewhere. But fix you first. I do all of this for me. I don't care what anybody else thinks of my work. I have to care about my work. I have to care about who I am. And if I do the best that I can, then whatever anyone else says means nothing to me. It has to start with me. You've got to fix you first. And I've always said, well, I can be better, right? And there are times when you have to put out something that isn't your best work because you didn't have the amount of time that you needed to get it right. And then you say, okay, well, what do I need to do the next time? I need more time. So I got to start earlier. I got to get on it earlier. And I got to get myself and focus more earlier in the game so that I have the time to perfect it and to be the best that I put out. If you're not learning those lessons every time something goes wrong, then, you're in a circle. You're just going to keep going round and round, and you're never going to get out of it.
Yep.
Alfonso Ribeiro, man. I love it, man. I love it. Hey, man, when is the book coming?
I haven't started anything yet. I know we talked about that maybe last time. But, listen, I feel like I kind of in that space where the story isn't finished, right? So it's hard, it's hard to write a book unless you're planning on writing a series of books that tell the story to this point. But I don't feel like my story is anywhere near finished. So I'm waiting for that moment where I'm like, you know what? I'm done. And then here, let me give you the world. Let me give you this experience from beginning to end. And here's the whole story, right? Right now, I feel like it's chapters. And I could give people chapters, but that's why coming on shows with you, Sway, is what allows me to give people perspective of where I'm at in those chapters of my life.
I get it, man. I love it, man. We got DB is on the line, too. He's our movie junkie. Big fan of yours. DB, welcome back. Welcome back, DB.
Hey, Alfonso, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. I just had a pretty simple question, but you know, I always wondered if the reason that you didn't really do as many movies as you've done throughout your career, was it because, was that intentional, or was it because of people looking at you and just thinking like, oh, you're this clean cut image guy, you know, you're always like, you know, fun and happy, and we can't really put you in these roles that are dark. I mean, I know you did the horror movie Ticks in '93, but you know, I don't know if they just really didn't think you would fit in something like a horror or anything else that was dark, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know, the problem was that people thought I was Carlton. And, you know, because I, you know, could only do so much to try and change their minds, there wasn't really opportunity for me to showcase that. And, you know, I've always said people believe like, you know, when you're at Will Smith's level, you choose your work, right? But unless you're that dude, you just get work, right? Someone comes to you and offers you a job, right? Or you have to go out and apply for a job. And most of the time, for me specifically, people already had in their minds who I was, and I would have had to literally go out and do a Todd Bridges to change their mind. You know, and that wasn't something I was willing to do, obviously. I wasn't going to go start being an idiot in my life to try to show people that I'm not that dude. So I just had to accept it. And that is a hard thing. I've said this in many interviews. Imagine for a second that you do something in your life so well that they tell you you can't do it no more because you did it that well. That's the torture that I lived through from this show. So I, of course, wanted to give people other stuff, but they wouldn't let me do it. They wouldn't give me the opportunities. And so, you know, it's a cruel business. And let's keep it real. It wasn't in 2020, right, where you could essentially create your own social media platform and change the way people view you by showcasing what you think every day, right? It was a time where that didn't exist, and the only way was controlled by the people who aren't you, right? So, you know, it was a very different business. And, you know, people on Seinfeld all got their own shows. People on Friends all got their own shows. Right, Roseanne, and all those people came away getting their own stuff. But that didn't happen for black people. So you didn't get those opportunities. You did your show and you went away. Yep. And that's just the unfortunate reality of this business being controlled by everyone but us. We don't get those opportunities. The fact that I've had to continue to struggle and fight and get back up and get knocked down and get back up, you know, that makes me feel good about my stamina. But the reality is that with the success that I had, I shouldn't have had to go through that. And most other races, right, don't have to go through that. And when I say most of, I should say one other race doesn't have to do that. But that's the reality. Is I was never given those opportunities to showcase what I can do.
There it is, Alfonso Ribeiro. Great question, DB, and thank you for that truth. He's been on this truth serum for years, HB. I love it, man. Come on.
Me too.
Yes, man. I love it, bro. Love you. Continued success. I love watching America's Funniest Videos. the show is still funny. I don't know how that happens. So I don't even know how many years it's been on, but it's still fun to watch. The Christmas special this Sunday, December the 6th, 7 p.m. Central on ABC. Alfonso, take care. Get in touch with JB Smooth, man. Be a part of the RV Club.
You know it, absolutely, and I always appreciate your platform, Sway, and I love your show. I listen to you all guys all the time, and I appreciate you guys always giving me a place to come and hang with y'all.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
bro.
man. That's real. Thank you.
Bro, this is Alfonso in the morning on Shade 4-5. Come on, brother. Every time, man. Have a great day, brother.